Cathie Wood, of course, is not looking at what's around the corner, looking at what's happening in 2030, long term, right? Those of us in the space, we're focused on long term. Yes, it's fun to degen a little bit here and there. You make a little bit of money here or there. But really, where the life-changing wealth comes in, okay, where the financial freedom comes in, is over years. And 2030 really isn't that long. We've been talking a lot about 2025, obviously, right? But what about the cycle after that? So this is according to Cathie Wood and ARK Invest. 2030, worst case scenario in 2030, Bitcoin's going to be at 258,000. Worst case scenario. Base scenario, somewhere around 682,000. And the best case scenario, $1.5 million. Again, this is 2030. This is just 7 years from now. This is not talking about 2 decades from now. No, just 7 years from now. So even though a lot of us do look at short term, you really don't need to, and it's not good for you unless you're trying to day trade. But if you're a long-term holder, that's what you should focus on, long-term holding, because Bitcoin is doing great things. Great things. And short-term volatility like today mean absolutely nothing. Nothing. If anything, it's a good pickup opportunity. What else is going on? Well, Bitcoin's ecosystem is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Not just from a store of value perspective or a network perspective in terms of how decentralized and how many miners and how much fees and addresses, but in terms of dApps. Now there are a lot of dApps on top of Bitcoin. You got DeFi stuff, you got NFT marketplace. Of course, you got new tokens now, BRC20 tokens. You have more infrastructure like wallets, and you have ordinals, which are NFTs themselves. So even the entire network is becoming bigger and stronger. That also shows you how early it still is really for Bitcoin. Not only from a price perspective, but from adoption perspective too. So there will be a lot more people utilizing these in the future. This is just really the first year that this started. Institutional interest, of course, is skyrocketing right now with anticipation of spot Bitcoin ETF approvals right around the corner. And afterwards, we're going to get a flood of money coming into the space. Okay, we're talking about billions upon billions at the very beginning to trillions of trillions by the end of the bull run. We had 5 solid weeks of ups. 5. The last few times this happened, well, we have to go all the way back to the bottom of 2020. We had that COVID crash. We had 7 straight weeks of upwards movement. And then in 2021, we had another 7 weeks. Right now, we're at 5 weeks. We're going to get 2 more weeks. And this is a signal we're in a bull run. I argue, yes, we are in a bull run, just not the most parabolic phase yet. As we get closer and closer to halving event, the prices will keep on going upwards. Those are all great things. I haven't even gotten to the great metrics yet, but soon. Here's another picture, another chart that shows you, what it's like. This is using Bollinger Bands. And usually when you get a squeeze, and we did have a squeeze, we had the biggest squeeze possibly in years. And a squeeze squeezed Bitcoin upwards because of those 5 straight weeks. And now clearly we are breaking out. And the last few times Bitcoin had a squeeze with the Bollinger Bands and broke out to the upside, it went up in a very major way, like right now. But we may be squeezed up even more. I am having a kickoff party in Vegas, December 14th. So if you guys want to come out and meet me and other influencers that are in the IFC, this is the spot to go. And not only that, Crowded Combat is going to be there. Their fighters are going to be there. I'm going to invite others in this space, other influencers, other projects. If you've been to one of my network parties before, it's going to be like that, but even bigger this time around. I have 3 different tickets. If you want to participate, you want to join, please do so. Use the code 25 off. You'll get $25 off. And for people that's been asking for a new NFT, if you go with the VIP program or ticket, you will get airdropped an exclusive I Am George NFT. That will be included. Make sure you check it out if you are interested. This is in Vegas. Remember, what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. And you get to check out all the fighters, all the other influencers, myself, and all the major projects will be there. It's going to be a good party, good time. So check it out. Well, this is what I show you guys. Supply lasts active 1 year. This is just basic. This is very, very basic. Part of the fundamentals of Bitcoin, which is, hey, you look at how strong it is. How many people are on the network? How many people are holding? What about the supply that hasn't moved? What about the overall supply? Is it diminishing? Well, this one is looking at the number of Bitcoin that haven't been moved in X amount of years. So 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. Every single one is at an all-time high. Close to 69% of all Bitcoin has not been moved in 1 year. 57% in 2 years, 41% in 3 years, and almost 30% last 5 years. And these numbers keep on going up. They're all at all-time highs. So that really shows you. The supply and demand curve is really, I mean, it's just really easy to picture in your head, right? The supply keeps doing this, and demand keeps doing this. Demand will keep on increasing, and supply will keep on decreasing simply because everyone is holding. Everyone's hodling all their Bitcoin, and really no one wants to sell it. It's really that simple. So this is why I always tell you guys, don't focus on short-term volatility. Don't focus on what the lines tell you. Focus on the fundamentals. Focus long-term, because there's no way Bitcoin is not going to go much higher if you just pay attention to what's happening to Bitcoin. El Salvador became the very first nation to make Bitcoin legal tender, and they have added a single Bitcoin every single day. And Bitcoin's up 120% since they came in. They came in really late, guys. They came in really late. They were not as early as Michael Saylor and nowhere as early as me or some of the others. I think they got into in 2021, somewhere around there. Or maybe even I think they got it in 2022. I think it was just last year. But anyways, they are the very first country to make Bitcoin legal tender, and so many others are following. They're paying attention. They're kind of like the test case, I guess, for a country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Fantastic. And then, here we go. Here's another one. Here's an interesting chart that shows what will happen to basically crypto market with a Bitcoin ETF approval, without a Bitcoin ETF approval, and also with the altcoin ETF approval like ETH. Obviously, if you look at this, even without the approvals, Bitcoin will continue to move upwards. That's the purple line. With the ETF approval, it will be exponentially higher. And then with the altcoin approval, it'll be even higher. Now, this is just a guess, of course, but I do agree. Obviously, what ETFs mean on a grand scheme of things, it's accelerant, really. It just allows more investors to come in at a faster scale. Will Bitcoin continue to grow without ETFs? Yes, for sure. But this just allows more money to flow in faster. That's really what it's about, right? So, yeah, I agree with this. But as for the growth numbers, we don't know. Anyone could be making that up. But yeah, that's what it means. That's what it means.